Hi, I am Katina Horton, the Love and Freedom Toxic Relationship Recovery Coach. And today's message is entitled 10 Ways You Know You're Dealing with Emotionally Immature People, Part 3. Before I get into the Bible teaching, I just want to remind you that we do what? We wear a tie so we can make an impact. That means we're analyzing, we are troubleshooting, we are implementing, we're empowering women in our homes, communities, and around the world, right? And then that empowerment, in turn, it changes over to them impacting, right? We're empowering and then impacting the women in our homes, communities, and around the world. And the quickest and easiest way for you to be able to help me to do that is if this message is providing any value for you today, if you could click that like button, right? And if you can share the message with someone else who would find it to be of value, right? And so without further ado, I want to go right on into the Bible teaching, right? The fifth way that you know you're dealing with an emotionally immature person is that every time things do not go their way, they are wanting to use the L word, right? Every time things do not go their way, they are telling you they're going to leave you. They're threatening to leave you, or they're even piecing out the door. One of the two, right? Either they're threatening to leave you or they're piecing out and they are leaving you, right? And as soon as you decide, what happens is, as soon as you decide to hold him accountable, right, for not coming home at night, for not being there for you emotionally, right? Physically, mentally, spiritually, right? Financially, relationally, socially, intellectually, all of that. As soon as you start holding him accountable, right? For doing all those things, even extramarital affairs, being emotionally unavailable for the for the kids, right? Not participating in their extracurricular activities, right? Not praying with them, attending church as a family, right? And you expressing all of this to him. The first things that come out of his mouth is what? I'm leaving. I'm leaving. Just like that, I'm leaving. I'm leaving you is the first few words that will come out of his mouth, right? And sometimes he will take off, but most of the times it's a threat. It is a threat. And what happens is that this threat would be this card, this I'm leaving card will be pulled out every time he wants to what? Retain power and control over you. I'm leaving you. I'm going to divorce you, right? And it starts to become like this habitual thing every single week when you try to what? Force accountability, right? And because you are on the hamster wheel, right? That lax cycle of addiction, right? And you don't know where your self-worth lies, what happens is that you allow the threats to take you to another level. You start going back again on the hamster wheel, going and changing your hairstyle, changing your clothes, changing your shoes, changing your purses, changing your makeup, right? Changing all of that kind of stuff, dressing provocatively, right? Packing him more lunches, fixing more dinners, thinking all of this external stuff is going to do the trick. You've tried it all before and it didn't work out. But for some reason, you think if you double down in these areas, right, which he didn't give a hill of beans about in the beginning, that for some reason he's going to wake up, right? He's going to have a be still and no moment and then have a come to Jesus moment and start doing all those things that you told him that you were displeased with him about that he's not doing, right? Because he starts to pull out what? The L card. I'm leaving, right? And so what happens is the only thing that's going to happen is he's not going to change, but you're going to reinforce the trauma bond and soul ties that are already there because of being on the hamster wheel and changing all of these different things, right? And so the best thing we can do when a person wants to go is to let them go, right? But this case, he's using the threat of leaving you, right? Knowing, thinking in the back of his mind, I got her just right where I want her to be, right? I got her right where I want her to be on the hamster wheel 24/7. And he's sitting back laughing at you. He's even calling up his friends that they're calling him. And he's like, look at her like a fool doing all of this stuff. I done told her I'm leaving her. Now she all on the hamster wheel doing all of this stuff, thinking that that's going to change the situation. You see what I'm saying? And so it's like we put ourselves in situations that we already know what the end result is going to be. And so then when we put ourselves in these type of situations, what happens is that it ends up turning over to self-abuse, because we know, as when you know someone's pattern of behavior, you know every time you do this, they're going to do that. And that's going to take you spinning out on emotional wheel, right? That means that person is purposely and intentionally, their motive is to trigger you and to send you off on that whirlwind, right? And so when you know what a person is going to do, when you see their pattern of behavior, and then you say what you're going to say and know they're going to do what they're going to do, then that's when it transfers over to what? To self-abuse, right? And in this type of situation, your narcissistic partner is thriving off of, right, getting a kick out of the fact that he can threaten to leave you and feel that he still has all of this power over you, right? Because he knows what? She needs something from me, right? I'm going to keep her spinning around in circles. I'm going to keep her on this hamster wheel of addiction, right? She's trying to get these love and approval addiction needs met. I'm going to keep her on the wheel, right? The last thing she want me to do is to leave, right? So I know I got the cards, right? Everything is on my side, right? I'm playing my cards right, is what he thinks. But what happens is when the victim gets sick and tired of this game, the only way that they can actually, they've gotten sick and tired, but not sick and tired enough. I'll put it that way. Because when we get to the point, as they said, the saying goes, getting sick and tired of being sick and tired, that's when the tables turn, right? That's when, okay, I'm leaving you. And then the reply is like, okay, go ahead. If that's what you want, go right ahead. And then it's shock, right? The perpetrator is shocked that the victim has finally stood up for him or her own self, right? Because what happens is either you do that or you end up going into this vicious cycle, right? That's not going anywhere. You're on the hamster wheel. Only other option to go through this cycle is what? Trying to change all of these external things about yourself, about the kids, about your house, your vacation home, buying more property, all of this external stuff. So that's one option. Or you can even do what? Be on the hamster wheel of begging him, right? Trying to fix him, trying to change him, trying to control and manipulate a little bit, right? Hoping that the outcome of the relationship is going to be what you want instead of leaving it and surrendering it to God, right? And so, but what happens is when you go that far of begging a man to stay with you or begging anybody or trying to fix them, but when you get to the point of begging them, you've lost your dignity, you've lost your self-respect, you've lost your honor, you lost your self-love, you've lost everything, all in the name of what? Letting someone play with your emotions like that. And in Psalm 55, 3-14, it says, I'm terrified. And this was David talking. I'm terrified by the threats of my enemies, crushed by the oppression of the wicked. They bring trouble on me. They're angry with me and hate me. I'm terrified, and the terrors of death crush me, right? I am gripped by fear and trembling. I'm overcome with horror. I wish I had wings like a dove. I will fly away and find rest. I will fly far away and make my home in the desert. I would hurry and find myself a shelter from the raging wind and the storm. Confuse the speech of my enemies, O Lord. I see violence and riots in the city, surrounding it day and night, filling it with crime and trouble. There is destruction everywhere. The streets are full of oppression and fraud. If it were an enemy making fun of me, I could endure it. If it were an opponent boasting over me, I could hide myself from him. But it's you, my companion, my colleague, and close friend. We had intimate talks with each other and worshiped together in the temple. So if it was somebody that was threatening to leave you, that didn't really mean anything to you, or was an enemy, of course you could tolerate it, but it's not going to be that type of person that's threatening to leave you. It's going to be your what? Romantic partner. It's going to be one of your friends in your inner circles. It's going to be an important leader of the church that you respected, a mentor. It's going to be somebody close to you. It's going to be somebody in your family that's constantly threatening to leave you. And what they have is bait. Once they know, when people know your proclivities, they know your unresolved trauma, they know your undealt with brokenness, it only becomes bait for them to run amok on you. Oh, she got the seed of rejection in her, and those seeds have produced the fruit of love and approval addiction. I know just how to get her, threaten to leave her. Oh, she's got the seed of abandonment in her. because she's got daddy wounds and her dad left her when she was a kid. Oh, I know just what to say to rouse her up. Any old thing, right? But if somebody really love you, would they be threatening to leave you like that and using it to have power and control over you? No, they would not. Number 6, the sixth way you know you're dealing with an emotionally immature person is that they use extremely poor communication, right? Let's say, for instance, if your husband, who is narcissistic, right? He cooked some fries last night. He made some French fries, right? And the fries were so good. You make your fries, but your fries don't taste anything like the fries he makes. So you say, oh, honey, can you tell me which seasonings you used on those fries last night? Oh, baby, they were so good. The ones right there in the cabinet. I know the seasonings are in the cabinet, but can you tell me which ones you used? Because the ones, your fries are really good. Maybe I can try those seasonings. The ones right there in the cabinet. So he never says which one of the seasonings, right? The cabinet is literally filled with 50 bottles of seasonings. So to say that the ones right there in the cabinet is neither here nor there, it's not telling you which ones were used, right? This is all a part of the word games. You see what I'm saying? It's like pulling teeth, right? Pulling teeth from a child, or just try to pull information to figure out what went down. Why are they upset after school, right? Never takes the time to say, I used the lemon pepper, I used onion powder, I used garlic powder, I used rosemary, I put a little bit of parsley flakes, and then took a half of lemon and squeezed over the juice over there on the wedges. None of that. It's all about, it's in the cabinet. It's a way to gain what? Power and control. Or you might ask him, let's just say, for instance, you might ask him about the seasonings, and then you've got the seasonings. Let's say the seasonings are in 3 cabinets. There are 3 cabinetfuls of seasoning, right? And it might be you have seasonings on 3 different shelves and 3 different cabinets. And so you ask him which seasonings, and he'll just take his head and just go like that, or point his finger. Then you say, well, is it the cabinet to the left on the shelf and the cabinet to the left of the refrigerator? And then the finger gets pointed, or the head goes like this. Is it the cabinet in the middle cabinet in the top shelf with the seasonings? And then he keeps pointing or nodding his head like that. Is it the first cabinet, the first shelf with the seasonings? And he keeps just going, pointing like this, nodding his head, supposedly in the direction, or pointing the fingers, right? So if you got lack of clarity and there are no words being used, right? Just pointing and nodding of head, okay? You don't know which cabinet the seasons were in, because he still have not told you, right? He's using no words at all in this situation, right? This is another way of having a power play with you, right? Power play on words, power and control. Now, I want you to think about this, right? When you have a child that's about 3 years old, and they got to say 3 to 6, you ask them a question, right? And they might point to 3 or 4 different things. And then you're saying, okay, you want to go sit on the couch? Mm-mm. Are you hot? You need me to turn the air conditioner on? Mm-mm. You want to lay down and take a nap? Mm-mm. But they just keep on, he or she just keeps on pointing. And then you might be, as the parent, just being honest and keeping it real, you might start to get frustrated because you don't know what it is that this particular child needs, right? They just keep pointing and going, mm-mm. So either you have literally lost it and have to put yourself in a timeout, and or you've regained control, or you're in control the whole time. And then you say, you know what, sweetheart, could you please use your words and tell me what it is that you want instead of pointing? Help me understand you. Help me to help you, right? To get what you need and or want. And then they'll start talking, right? When we get to the point of having to do this with adults, that is a problem, because 9 times out of 10, if they keep pointing their head in the direction that they're telling you, or pointing their fingers, they're not going to give the information. It's like when we do with the kid, can you use your words? Anytime we're asking adults to use their words, there's something wrong with that. But this is what we end up doing. And so then it's a power play, because it's like there's no way in the world they're going to open their mouth and tell you, to give you that information that you need and or desire, right? In Matthew 5:37, it says, but let your yes be yes, and your no, no. For whatever is more than these is from the evil one. So basically what it's saying is that if we got to get to the point where we're like not answering questions and playing games with people and having to go all around instead of just yes or no and telling people what's really needed, we've got some type of evil intent in our hearts. And of course, we know that that's the situation when it comes to what? Narcissistic individuals, right? And so what happens a lot of times too, when it comes to these poor communication skills, right? Because we're still on number 6, is that these type of individuals who are emotionally immature act out through passive aggressive behavior. Now, say for instance, you are having a conversation. This could be with a romantic partner, right? Or it could be with a girlfriend of yours, right? And then they might start to pour their heart out over whatever situation is going on. And then you might go like, wow, I can't believe that. And then they go on some more, and you want to be able to be 100% present with this person. And you might comment again, my Lord, I cannot believe this. Lord, have mercy. Wow. I can't believe that, right? So this goes on for a while. And then the friend wants you to give your input, and you do, right? So then let's just say this is the next day. This is the following day after having this conversation, okay? And then while you start talking, the friend starts going, wow, my Lord, I can't believe that. 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 And I know you see what I'm doing, right? You're like, why is she doing this? I'm doing this for a particular reason. For some reason, something about what you said in between long conversations that they had, right? Long discussions, and you listening primarily to them. In between those conversations, you giving your input. Something about what you said rubbed them the wrong way. And instead of them expressing this to you, they will start to act like a 3 to 6-year-old child by repeating what you said over and over again to annoy you after every sentence that you say, to show you that they didn't like it. When children do this, that's one thing, right? Because children from 3 to 6, they're like what? Parrots and little puppets. When adults are doing it, it's not funny. And it's not even funny when children do it. When children go around and they call it what? Mocking adults. The first 2 times you might laugh like, oh, that's funny. You on the phone talking to your friend. Oh, he keeps repeating everything I say. But then after a while, it's not funny anymore, right? And it's not funny at all when you have an adult doing that. But the communication is very important. And like I said, right off the back, if you didn't know any other kind of way that a person is emotionally immature, is if they get to the point of repeating something you've said over and over and over again after every single sentence you say, just to show you that they didn't like what it was that you said or how you respond, instead of them being able to say, you know what, I'm not quite sure what it is. It's triggering me. Maybe I'm becoming emotionally overwhelmed, using the language, right? I'm becoming emotionally overwhelmed by what you're saying. I don't know if it's the sounds that's triggering something from my childhood. I don't know if I'm just overstimulated as far as sensory wise, but could you try to see if you can make a different sound or do it less frequently or something else? But instead of them being able to express that, the way they express it is just by what? Repeating what it is that you've done. That's not an emotionally mature way to handle communication as an adult, right? The last part of this emotionally immature communication is that you will get to the point where you can be at church. It might be 2 or 3 rows of your small group at church, right? Or you could be gathered together at somebody's house at a table. Or you could be standing up at a party, right? And this might be your small group, or it could be a family situation, right? But you all there together. So one part of poor communication would be you're literally sitting there in that setting. And one person in that particular group and or family will start talking to another person in the group and or family about you while you're standing there just a few feet away from them, and you hear everything that's going on, and they're looking in your direction and whispering over to the other person as if literally you're back in junior high. And so this is one of the things when one part of communication that's actually very poor, because instead of going to that person they've got a beef with, they have decided to turn it into a gossiping, judging, criticizing, condemning, and then making the whole group and or family feel uncomfortable by their behavior, right? And so the scripture is very clear about telling us how to handle these kind of problems as unbelievers, right? It says in Matthew 18:15-21, if your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault between you and him alone. If he listens to you, you have gained your brother. If he doesn't listen, take one or two others along with you, that every charge may be established by the evidence of 2 or 3 witnesses. If he refuses to listen to them, tell it to the church. And if he refuses even to listen to the church, let him be to you as a Gentile and a tax collector. Truly, I say to you, whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. Again, I say to you, if 2 of you agree on earth about anything they ask, it will be done to them by my Father in heaven. For where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there am I among them. And so it becomes a thing of not only being tacky, it's not Christ-like. When we talk about people, they're a few feet away from us. We're whispering and pointing and talking about them to other people, literally right in front of our faces, right in front of their faces. And then sometimes it can be whispering. And then sometimes it's the situation where a person will walk past and then out loud. And I've been in this situation before where someone has gone, oh, look at her. She's so fat. Oh my gosh, look at her body. And then when someone does that, sometimes it takes you so aback. You're just like, I cannot believe this person actually said this about this individual. And then you start hoping and praying that the other person did not hear them, right? And like I said, going back to if you have something against the person, go to them and let them know, right? They don't believe you, bring 2 people with you, right? And then if that don't work, take it to the church. But instead, what we do is go to other people in the group, in the family, gossip about this individual, judge, condemn, criticize, correcting and all of this, shaming this person without coming to that person to express our grievances, right? And so whether we're whispering about them to another person in front of that person, or we're talking out loud, it's not giving respect to that individual. It's not honoring that individual. It's not showing empathy, knowing that we have our own brokenness, right? What it does is it causes chaos. It causes confusion, trauma, drama, and discord among the brethren. And in Proverbs 6, it says, here are 6 things God hates, and one more that he loathes with a passion: eyes that are arrogant. I almost said ignorant. A tongue that lies, hands that murder the innocent, a heart that hatches evil plots, feet that race down a wicked track, a mouth that lies under oath. And finally, it says a troublemaker in the family. And in some of the translations out there, they use sows discord among the brethren, right? Which is the same thing. A troublemaker in the family is the same thing as a person who is sowing the seeds of discord among the brethren. Lord willing, tomorrow I will do part 4, and that will be the final Bible teaching on the 10 ways you know you're dealing with emotionally immature people, right? Tomorrow I'll do part 4. I want you to remember you are enough. Reclaim your power, soul, and identity today. And then I want you to reclaim the power, soul, and identity of your calling. Grab your keys to the kingdom and then get your inheritance. Again, my name is Katina Horton. I'm the Love and Freedom Toxic Relationship Recovery Coach. Until next time, I love you. God bless you.